we're living in a time that is both turbulent and transformational. Every day, young people around the world are navigating not just personal growth, but the collective challenges facing all of us. And yet, in these same moments of uncertainty, we're seeing a generation rising with creativity, with courage, and with conviction. In response to this moment, the International Baccalaureate has launched the Festival of Hope, an invitation to put hope into action. It's a movement bringing together students, educators, and communities to reimagine what's possible. Led by youth, shaped by their questions, and grounded in their lived experience. Over the past 2 years, Festivals of Hope have come to life across the globe, from Bogota to Costa Rica and North Carolina, where service, community, and well-being were at the heart of the conversation. My name is Crystal Kinzer. I'm Senior Manager of Government Relations here at the IB, and today I am honored to continue this dialogue with these brilliant students and youth leaders from See Us Now. They represent the heart of what the IB stands for. Young people not only leading their communities, but helping the rest of us to listen more deeply, act more boldly, and imagine more justly. So let's begin, not with answers, but with questions.
As See Us Now are a student-led organization designed to bring awareness and advocate for foster kids. Our mission is simple yet very impactful. We want to create more safe, consistent housing and services for foster kids.
Our goals mainly are to have different government officials and people be aware of this crisis that is happening to so many people, not just in Florida or in our specific county, but all over the nation.
And the importance of what you guys are doing is you're giving a voice to the voiceless. You're giving a voice to the children.
Youth voice is always needed because without youth voice, we wouldn't be able to make a change.
Every number has a face. Every face has a name. Every name has a story. And every story is an opportunity for us to intersect this need and make change.
See Us Now has been just an incredible advocate for our kids that are in foster care. I think the work that they are doing is incredible.
Well, we have launched a national awareness campaign called Team Protectors, lighting up monuments, hosting blue outs, and collaborating with sports teams and celebrities on social media.
Hundreds of buildings across the country lighting up in blue tonight.
We are wearing blue today for National Foster Care Day. It's an important day here at News 4 as we continue to highlight local children searching for their forever home.
When we go to Washington, D.C., the main goal and mission is to advocate for foster kids. So we go and talk to senators, House representatives, and make sure they are aware of the issue and how to help.
I'm Mayor Francis Suarez, and I want to commend the students of See Us Now for their incredible work.
Whatever years I have left in Congress, but even after that, I want to focus on helping our kids, because our kids are our future. And every child should have an opportunity to succeed.
You've helped pass the Find and Protect Foster Youth Act. You're making a real difference for the thousands of foster kids across the country.
Your work to empower foster youth through legislation and advocacy is inspiring. I applaud you for creating positive change and making sure every foster child has the chance to thrive and succeed regardless of their circumstances.
No matter how many times I see that video, it gets me every time. Let's go back to the beginning, and for that, Carissa, I would like to start with you. Was there a personal connection or a specific moment that sparked the idea for CS Now, and why did this issue in particular become your personal mission?
So I started CS Now about 5 years ago, just after COVID. I was looking to reconnect with the Sheriff's Youth Ranch, which is a cottage-style residential campus in my area that provides housing and support for foster children. I'd worked with them a lot in the past because my youth group would host Easter egg hunts and Halloween parties for the kids staying there. But when I reached back out to them, I was shocked to find that although they had homes that were empty, there were kids sleeping in tents nearby. I didn't understand why this was happening when the space existed, so I did some research, and I found this wasn't just a problem at the Sheriff's Youth Ranch, but it was a national crisis. A federal law had been passed in order to reduce reliance on group homes, but it ended up discouraging places like the Sheriff's Youth Ranch from housing kids for longer than 2 weeks, or they would lose their funding. So as a result, kids were being moved around constantly with no stability. I learned more, like how 20,000 foster children go missing every year, and 60% of trafficked children in the US come from the foster care system. These kids don't vote, they don't hold jobs, and they don't have parents to advocate for them. They're extremely overlooked in our society, and I just remember thinking that in a different life, these kids could have been my own friends and classmates, and if I were in their position, I would want someone to speak up for me. So that's why I started CS Now, and now we're trying to expand and grow and implement chapters into other schools. So it would mean a lot for us if you would go to our website, csnowusa.org, and looked into starting a chapter.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. That actually means a lot to me personally because I was a foster kid. I've experienced homelessness. I moved over 30 times before the age of 13. I was eventually adopted by a foster family, and I always said that they saved my life. You know, that never felt like an exaggeration given some of the things I had experienced as a youngster, but I always struggled, nevertheless, to really articulate why. And the honest truth of it is that I didn't know why until I met you. I learned more about what I experienced when I got to accompany you on Capitol Hill. It really came clear to me how lucky I truly was. So on behalf of someone who has been there, I personally want to say thank you for the work that you've done to shine light on the foster kids crisis. But speaking of our time on Capitol Hill, Bryce, you all have achieved such great legislative success, but I'm curious about the challenges you've faced in getting adults to take your advocacy seriously.
Well, I'd say, especially for being young students, knowledge would be 100% the key for everything. Like, one of the first things we did when addressing the problem, like what my sister said, was research the foster housing crisis state by state and see what was happening all across the country. We spoke to foster organizations, foster children, and we heard on how they threw their stuff in a garbage bag and kept moving and how they felt like trash after that. And we spoke to lawmakers. We studied bills in Congress, the committees they were in, and studied each congressman and senator and their voting history. And then when we get into those meetings, our knowledge would give us credibility. They were not only impressed by our depth of knowledge, but were also shocked to learn about how the stats we said before, the 20,000 foster children that go missing every year, and thousands who are housed in hotel rooms, offices, cars, and how 60% of trafficked children come from foster care, and over half of them are under the age of 5, say reports from the Department of Health and Human Services. So, and this is just horrible. But the other important thing for us was respect. We thank them for their time and service to our country, come to meetings prepared, and have pitch decks personalized to each state. And that is so important because, as you know, these senators and congressmen really care about their stateside and stateside statistics. But also, then at the end, we make it so our age is powerful. No one anticipates our age to be so anyone our age to be so persistent or passionate. And this helps us stand out from the average lobbyer up on Capitol Hill and make a statement. Youth voice, advocating for youth voice is so impactful. Like how we'll see these congressmen walking around with their congressional pins, and we'll stop them for a second and then tell them about the foster housing crisis. And they can't walk away from other kids advocating for other kids. So I feel like that really helps in getting our message out there.
Now listen, I have been fortunate enough to see these students in action firsthand. And if you were one of the lucky folks who got to attend their breakout session yesterday, you can also attest that these students are impossible to ignore. Just this morning, while we were in sessions, they were actually meeting with a U.S. Congress member. They take advantage of every opportunity available to them. Well, Annika, outside of government relations, what other avenues or strategies has CS Now explored, and what have you learned from those experiences?
So outside of legislation, we host a lot of awareness events for the general public. Probably 99% of people that we talk to have no idea that this is happening to children in the United States. Our biggest awareness event so far has been our National Blue Out, which we launched last year. We lit up monuments, federal buildings, and cities blue to raise awareness and shed light on the foster care crisis, from cities all the way from Los Angeles to Miami. At our own school, Caraway Day School, we blued out a football game where fans wore blue, the players wore blue sweatbands, and the cheerleaders used blue pom-poms. And then we also displayed our video that we showed you a bit ago to show people why they are wearing blue and what we're doing. We also hosted a sleep out at the founder's house where we invited students from across the Bay Area outside of our school to sleep in tents on their lawn. And we brought our belongings in garbage bags, and again, we played our video to give the other students an idea of what we're doing, why we're sleeping in tents in somebody's front yard. And through that, it was really powerful for a lot of people. Though you cannot truly understand what these foster kids go through, but for the night to kind of simulate what their everyday life is like, again, was really powerful for a lot of people. And then in Nashville, in downtown Nashville, we also had an awareness event where we set up a photo booth, and as people walked by through the alleyway, we invited them to take photos, and each photo correlated to a coordinate on a mural that once completed read Foster Kids Rock. And through these awareness events, I've learned that what is happening to these foster kids is not because people know these things and they don't care about them. When we present to the congressmen and the congresswomen, many of them have broke down in tears once they are faced with the facts of what is happening to these kids. And for the general public, you know, you hear the one-off stories of a 4-year-old boy tossed out of the car onto an interstate and a foster mother feeding an infant to a python. But they don't understand what is happening day to day. They don't know that 55 foster kids will go missing today, and over the course of this closing panel, 2 foster kids will go missing. So again, this is not because people know this is happening and they don't care. It's that people just don't know this is happening.
Wow. Well, it's clear that you care. And as we all know, caring is an IB learner profile trait. Nishant, can you talk about how the IB learner profile has influenced the work of CS Now, and which one of those attributes has been most crucial to your success?
Well, honestly, CS Now is kind of built on a mixture of all of the different IB learner profiles. But let's start with caring, which you mentioned. Caring is what led to the establishment of CS Now. CS Now, without us caring about these foster children, would never have even been started. And with all of these setbacks that we face, these obstacles, caring is what helps us get through it. We recognize who we're standing up for. We're standing up for foster kids across the nation, and that's what's really important. But we aren't just caring, we're also inquirers, right? We have to ask questions. Like, why do 20,000 foster children have to go missing every year? Why do we not work to solve this issue? What can we do? Who can we partner with? Who can we learn from in order to better prep ourselves to solve this issue? So that is another thing that we do. But we also have to solve those questions. We have to answer them. We have to become knowledgeable, subject matter experts, so that when we speak with Congress people, we speak in front of loud crowds like yourself, that we understand the issue and not just are able to talk about it, but also able to formulate a solution for it, right? We have to be thinkers, critical thinkers. We have to strategize, to ideate, to come up with plans and strategies for how we can attack this issue. We have to be balanced and open-minded. We meet with different congresspeople from both sides of the aisle. It's not a Republican issue, it's not a Democratic issue, it's a humanitarian issue. And that's one thing that we have to convey. So communicating is another big part of what we do. But beyond that, we have to be principled, right? We have to recognize that we are representatives of the youth, of the most vulnerable youth population in the United States, which are the foster youth. That we are representatives of youth advocates across the globe, and that we are representatives for our school and for the International Baccalaureate. And finally, we have to be reflective. We're constantly reiterating, reevaluating, redesigning, like in the design cycle where we're constantly reevaluating what we do and how we do it. But in general, IB has shaped us into the students that are problem solvers, that are critical thinkers, right? The students that are leaders not just of tomorrow, but are leaders of today. And I think that's something that's very powerful. And I would like to take a moment to thank all of you for being a part of that journey for us. But like we said, IB students are the ones that like to take initiative. I've seen it in CS Now, I've seen it in our local communities, and that's the power of the IB. It's taught us how to take initiative, how to be caring, how to be empathetic leaders. And honestly, all of those different pillars is what's made CS Now what it is today.
Well, you're indeed taking initiative, I think is an understatement. I am so disappointed that we have to bring this incredible conversation to a close. But before we do, I want you to speak to IB students around the world who have an issue they care about but aren't quite sure where to start. I want to hear from each of you, and starting with you, Carissa, what's the most important piece of advice you would give to an IB student as they embark on their own advocacy journey?
I would say to have a strong why. Whatever cause you're advocating for, you need to know deep down why it matters to you, because you're gonna face a lot of obstacles and challenges along the way, and that's what's gonna get you through it. Like for me, for example, when I learned I'd be speaking in front of 2,000 people today, at first I was a little hesitant, but then I remembered why, and one story actually came to mind in particular. We spoke to a foster child who told us, you don't know what it's like to be moved every few days. You throw your stuff in a garbage bag and move over and over. After a while, you start to feel like trash. And so it reminded me, these kids feel discardable. They feel they don't matter, and no child should feel like that. And that gave me the courage to speak to you all today. So my advice is, before you get started, take a moment to figure out your why. Let that be the thing that guides you and motivates you for when you hit tough spots in your advocacy work.
Bryce?
Okay, well, for me, I would say to network as much as possible, and take every meeting you can, and don't miss an opportunity to tell someone about your cause, because that's just one more person who knows what's happening and might be able to help, or it could lead you to someone else who can help. For example, over the last 2 days while we were here in Louisiana, we met with former First Lady Donna Edwards, which led us to have our own national summit with all the first spouses across America. And just today, we met with Congressman Carter and his team, and is now working with us to introduce a bill we wrote called the Stable Homes for Foster Youth Act. And with that in mind about networking, I'm gonna take a little bit of my own advice and tell you all to please visit our website, seeusnowusa.org. There should be a QR code up there, or they might show one up there, I'm not sure. But you can learn more about what we are doing and how you can help. We have videos, starter kits on how to start your own chapter, and you can follow us on social media as well, on Instagram at see.us.now. Thank you.
Annika?
My advice would be you have to go in open-minded and adaptable. Be anticipating and embracive of criticism and change. Even for us going into our 5th year with See Us Now, there's never a person that we talk to or a meeting we go into where we don't learn something new. There's never been 2 meetings where we go in with the same presentation because we're always learning and always changing. I think all feedback is good feedback. Every experience is a learning experience, and a no is just a redirection. You know what's not working and how to adjust your approach, and be embracive of new ideas and apply that to your approach and your advocacy, and I think that will help take it further.
And last but certainly not least, Nishant.
My biggest piece of advice would be to think big and not be afraid to take the leap. It can be scary, it can be intimidating to call up your congressperson, to speak at conventions, to host your own breakout sessions, but at the core of what you're doing is a strong why, like what Carissa was talking about, and your knowledge, and nobody can take that from you. And if you are armed with those 2 things, then the only person that's holding you back is yourself. But to demonstrate just how big we like to be, we'd like to do a couple of things for you before they kick me off the stage. First, we'd like to ask you to join our mission if you are willing. So the ways you can do that are you can follow on social media at see.us.now. You can message your congressperson through our website, www.seeusnowusa.org. And finally, you can start a chapter, and this is really important for us. What this means is you get a free opportunity to teach your students the legislative process in a hands-on way, right? They get to hands-on interact and draft legislation, and then take that legislation either to a state legislature or to the federal legislature. In addition to this, you'll get to interact with us in our virtual meetings. You'll join our awareness campaigns and become a part, an inherent part, an integral part of our national movement to help end this foster housing crisis. So if you are at all interested, please visit our website. Again, that's www.seeusnowusa.org to learn more. And there is one more thing I'd like you all to do. You guys are very well rehearsed at this point, so I'd like you, first the See Us Now members to stand up to be recognized. The See Us Now members and our leader, Mrs. Wagner. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something very similar to what you saw at the beginning of this entire general session. We're just gonna say, See Us Now. We're gonna do it first to model with our See Us Now members, and then again with everybody standing loud and proud in a show of unity for these foster children across the nation. So first, 3, 2, 1, See Us Now. All right, everybody, can I have you all stand up? All right.
You got it.
All right, on the count of 3, 3, 2, 1. See us now. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.